You say that players come to Kansas to play in games like these. Do you get a little bit more fired up? I know it's just one game. There's going to be plenty more, but do you get a little bit extra fired up for a game like this?
Sure. I think anytime you play a team ranked as high as Iowa State, you get fired up. We're playing the second-ranked team in the country, and if I'm not mistaken, what did Auburn beat them in Maui by 2, and Iowa State could easily won that game and be undefeated right now. So, yeah, I think we're playing as good a team as there is in America, and in the building will be obviously great. So it'll be a tough assignment, but one that you like being a part of.
You always say if you can't score, you have to stop teams from scoring and kind of muddy it up. Do you like? I think the last three second halves, you've gone up 53 points. Do you like where your defense is at? I mean, do you like?
I actually think we've guarded much better. The last 2 games, we haven't. I shouldn't say that. 74 is not a bad number, but we haven't scored easily the last 2 games. So we scored a lot easier in down in Florida. But the other day, everything was tough and felt like we were laboring every possession. But in all honesty, they got a really good defensive team as well.
We spent much of December talking about you guys trying to find an identity. Where do you feel like you guys are at in that process of establishing an identity? Well,
it's still a work in progress, but obviously I'm sure you guys can tell too. The defensive intensity has been amped up since the start of the year. So I felt like even against West Virginia. 62 is not a bad number to give up at home. You'd think you could find a way to muster more points than that, but it was, such a low possession game. 62 felt like more because we didn't do anything to create havoc, and we've done a better job the last 3 games of doing that. So I don't know that we have a true identity yet, but I think we're gaining on it.
And Hunter talked about offensively being a team that maybe could become one that is good at executing the sets you run. Do you feel like this is the type of team that can be that can run a slow-down game like that?
Sure. I think we can. I think we've shown that we can. But we haven't done it consistently. But, yeah, we need to become more that, getting threats and shooters in the right spots in conjunction to where KJ or Hunt or Floy are at all times and that kind of stuff. We're not I would say with our starters for sure a prolific 3-point shooting team obviously, but we can figure out ways to get the ball in the basket and we will. The other day as poor as it looked offensively, actually thought we got some pretty good looks, and those looks with our personnel are shots that we're going to have to live with and want to take. So it wasn't as bad as what it actually looked live from a point production standpoint. Still wasn't good, but we actually played a little bit better than what the finals tally actually indicated.
Not a huge sample size, but now there's 3 straight games. Second half, you're allowing 21%. Does that make you think back at some of your teams that had that, dog mentality defensively?
No, I hadn't. Dave, I hadn't thought back and thought that one time. But I do think that it's too small a sample size to really get too excited about. But we watched Tampa Bay. They've given up 9 points the last 5 games in the second half combined, and they actually did it again last night. But a fumble caused that to change, and there's so many guys miss open shots, guys make guarded shots. I think that the numbers aren't really real, but I do think that. Certainly something has clicked at halftime from our guys from an intensity standpoint that I think was lacking earlier for sure.
And just talk about Iowa State. Offensively, I think you brought them up as one of the best teams out there.
They are.
5 guys over 50%, 2 over 60% shooting.
Yeah, I heard one of the pundits that I actually respect a lot say that they thought Iowa State was the best offensive team in the country. I probably agree that they got the best three guards on the same team in the country. And their bigs are so much more skilled than what they've had in the past. You know, with their bigs in the past, last year King had a monster game against us and made 4 threes when we went up there. And Jones was more of a defensive rebounding presence, and this year they've got that, but they've got more skill on the offensive side and probably even better rebounders. So I think it's the best team that TJ has had. I think they're terrific offensively, but you know, the thing about them is, and what their identity has been is really guarding in the half court, and they still do that equally well.
Bill, I was curious. Gage had a really good game against Cincinnati, and I think his scoring has been a little down from last year and the year before, and efficiency as well. How much of that is the roster construction, him not needing to take as many shots this year versus maybe last year, and how much is you just want him to be? Do you want to be more aggressive? How is that balance?
I don't think it has anything to do with any of those things. I think KJ is who he is, and whether he's, you know, he actually played great against Cincinnati. Second half, he was probably, you know, our best player. But you know, he needs to rebound the ball, which he's starting to hopefully do more consistently. He can post more, but how we get him the basketball is certainly very similar to how we got it to him last year. The year before, you know, you can say what we want to. You put 4 shooters around a center. It's totally different. I mean, we're playing him totally in a different way. You know, the year before, Jalen Wilson was our 4-man, and he's probably as good a three-point shooter as there was in the league. So it's totally different, the way people can scout you and the way they load up and how they guard ball screens, and a lot of different things happening. So it's really not apples to apples. But I think that his scoring is down in some ways. But I think the way we're trying to use him is very consistent as what it was last year.
How can you get Diggy going from 3, and how's his defense been?
I think very surprising that his defense has probably been what he has done most consistently well, and we recruited him, you know, obviously to be offense off the bench and to make shots. But what is he, 1 for his last 14? Something like that?
David said, yeah.
Isn't that right, Dave? So in league play. So obviously not very good. But I will tell you this: if he gets good looks, I'll take him shooting the ball just like I would anybody, and that's what we'll try to play to.
What about AJ? Where does his season stand?
His season, you know, he's. I thought the first half the other day he did a couple of good things that help us, and I thought Rylan actually did some things in the second half to help us more. But you know, the thing about it is, and we get so carried away with so many different things that. So let's just look at it from a coach's perspective. You know, KJ was arguably the best player we had last Saturday in the second half, and we don't win the game and dominate defensively unless Shaq's in the game. So if you look at those two things, you know, Zeke's got to be in the game, Juan's got to be in the game. So we get too caught up on different things, but. I thought AJ did some good things the other day. I think he's definitely making an effort to defend and some things like that. But you know, I don't look at it as AJ getting him going. I look at it more as getting a team going, and I think that obviously those two players I mentioned were probably as big a keys to us, you know, winning in Cincinnati as anybody.
Is it too early to look at the Big 12 standings and say this game is must?
Yes. It's way too early. Whenever you go on the road and you got to have a must win, at the number 2 ranked team in the country, that puts a little bit too much pressure on a situation. We should go up there and play free and play easy, and I'm not lying. I wish that Iowa State would have lost. I wish Texas would have lost. I wish Arizona would have lost. Matter of fact, I wish there was like 15 other teams in our league that lost on Saturday, but that's not how it works. So I don't consider us being in the race at this moment. I don't consider us being out of it. I think we put ourselves in a hard position because if you looked at the conference race, you guys know we play. Our schedule is different than most. So we're playing the 2 best teams in our league twice each, and so those are hard games. But the biggest thing is hey, let's just try to get better each and every day, and we got a great opportunity on Wednesday.
Kind of a granular thing, but with DeJuan and Shaq both starting, there have been some times in first halves where they're both off the court. When that's the case, just who do you want running the offense at that time, and how can it best function when you don't have?
Well, it hasn't happened a lot, but it has happened in times just because of fatigue or whatever. But I don't feel, I think if that's the case, then Diggy and Zeke are in the game together. So, the way we play should be more positionless, and whoever gets it brings it. So I don't see it being a huge deal. But majority of the time, to your point, Henry, I would think 35 minutes of the game, I'd like to see one of those 2 guys in the game.
Bill, Hunter's 3 blocks in 2 of the last 3 games. Is that circumstantial, or is that a correlation between the team defense being better and him maybe getting those opportunities to do that?
Well, first of all, did you guys interview Hunter before us? Yeah. So I'm sure he's the one who brought that up. He did. What's that?
Said he's always been known as a shot blocker.
Yeah, right. And a dunker too, I guess. So I would say it's probably a combination of him being more active, but also, pursuing the ball more, more activity by everybody. A lot of times when big guys block a shot, it's not because they did anything special. It's because the smaller player walled up and kept the offensive player from being able to explode, and so therefore the guy from behind can come block it. So I think it's probably a combination of him being better, but also the team defense being better too.
Where do you land with what you need from him in that role as a rim protector?
I've never thought of him as he needs to do this or that from a rim protection, block and shot standpoint. I thought about him being kind of a lane protector and a guy that probably impacts shots, alters shots as much as blocking them. So I don't think he's bad at that. Since he's been here, what's he average? Just over 1 block a game, something like that. And we've had a lot of bigs not do that. So I don't think it's bad in that regard, but I do think it can be better. And the one that can certainly be better is KJ. And I think KJ is being much more active and going after the ball when the shot's released.
You talk a lot about the scouting reports and guys going over those. Can you just, I don't know if you can provide a lot, but what goes into like a scouting report? Like what are you guys, strengths, tendencies, or like how does that?
Strengths, tendencies, what they run. This is how we guard this action. Are we going to switch this? Are we going to stay? How are we going to guard a ball screen? How do we attack certain coverages? What if they switch? How do we attack a short roll? What about if they stay? A lot of different things, but it still boils down to how you play. I don't think the Chiefs are changing every running play based on how a team stunts or how they think they might. I think they'll probably make a few adjustments that in this situation we're anticipating them doing this, and if they do that, then we're going to try to block it this way or whatever. But I can't believe that teams get away from what they try to do and what they do best. And so a lot of times in scout is important, but much of it is tendencies as much as anything else. this guy's got a great shot fake. We're going to run at him and sit down, but we're not going to get lifted in this particular situation because this is what he does or whatnot. Or this guy wants to drive left and spin. This guy wants to drive right, and if he goes right, he goes all the way. If he goes left, he's stepping back. There's a lot of. If you get detailed enough, do we want a guy to have a left foot pivot off a ball screen? So if you want to have a left foot pivot, do you piggyback one way and go ball side another way? There's a lot of things that you can do, but I think the best thing to do is just guard your damn man, and in large part, same offensively. This is who we are. We got to play the way we play. So.
Coach, the defense has looked pretty solid the last 3 games. Shaquille Moore's gotten some quality minutes in all 3 of those games. Do you feel like he's maybe a little bit of a spark plug?
I think he has been. I do. It allows Juan not to guard the power guard. It allows a lot of different things. I think to your point, he's probably got as good a defense anticipation instincts as anybody we have on our team. And he can make some plays athletically with his strength that other guys don't make. So it's a great question, but I think he has sparked us. I think he has sparked us, and he hasn't done it in a way that translates to points as much, but he's certainly done it in a way that translates to energy or run outs or something that we get that we don't have to earn.